Imagination. Cara, vamos fazer espátula. De 3 espátulas.
I'm Matt. I'm Carrie. We are the Stagmer Brothers, a Baltimore knife and sword. We're going to be building some of your favorite weapons, and some weapons that you've never seen before.
This is Man at Arms, reforged.
Man at Arms.
Huh? A brand new television? Just when I thought they couldn't get any stupider.
Alright guys, we've seen you asking for ages now. SpongeBob spatula, SpongeBob
Vou ativar a legenda pra
SpongeBob
vocês.
spatula. And to me, I'm not even convinced you guys really want us to make this. I feel like maybe you're just trolling. And SpongeBob has a bunch of different spatulas, so I'm not even sure
Português, talvez?
exactly
Melhor, né?
which one you guys want us to actually make. Carrie, he said he has a plan, but every time I go to check on him, he's just hanging out in the box. So
Em
I
brasileiro?
guess
Possível.
let's go check out what's up with him.
Pronto.
Carrie, what are you doing in here?
I'm going to be cutting out the 3 heads for the hydrodynamic spatula. We're going to use the plasma and actually cut these out, so you don't have to use your imagination. We'll be able to then take those, clean them, polish them, they'll be food safe. We'll be able to
Olha,
flip 3
foda.
Krabby Patties at a time. Tanner now goes to the lathe, trues up a piece for John, drills a hole through it. As he cuts this off, this will be the section that holds the propeller blades.
Before we can assemble our hydrodynamic spatula here, I have to make one more of these little side arms. This will be attached to the little side spatula. I'll slide it into place, tack weld it, bend it to shape. And then weld our spatula in.
As I watch John weld together the hydrodynamic spatula, it brings to my mind all the camping trips that we went on together, where he would have hundreds of things packed away that you'd never think he would have. If he had pulled this spatula out,
É, vai ficar uma em cima da outra quando ele coisar, né?
I'm going to be using the plasma table to cut out spat. I'm going to be cutting from 1/4-inch chromoly steel, 4130. That's a material that's going to allow us to harden enough to keep the handle springy. We'll grind the surfaces of the face enough so that we can flip Krabby Patties with it. After the hardening, it'll get polished, handled, and we'll be able to use it on a grill. When you're working with carbon steel instead of stainless steel for food products, you just have to make sure that things are kept clean, kind of like you'd see in a cast iron pan. Spat's looking a little thick around the edges, so Rick's going to take it to the sander and thin that section down.
Mano, olha que foda.
Once we've got it down, we know we can get underneath the Krabby Patty. We'll hard polish. Since you guys are always such sticklers about scale of weapons, we decided we'll take the same program that you saw us cut spat out on. We're going to cut a tiny version for SpongeBob himself. I'm going to use the CNC mill and a little tiny cutter. Make sure you
CNC.
can see what we're doing. We'll get into this. It'll cut the whole piece out.
Ó, que fofinho, uma espatulinha.
So it wouldn't be a Man-at-Arms episode without some actual forging. So I'm going to make the form of the golden spatula in this big block of 4140. It's very tough. We'll be able to heat treat it. It'll be springy. Typically, all this larger stock is something that Ilya would forge. And so I'm a little unfamiliar with working these sizes on the hammer, so it's going to take me longer than it would take him. But in Squidward fashion, he's refused to have anything to do with this. I take a large rectangular piece of 4140 chromoly steel and bring it up to temperature. I'll begin pinching off the section that'll be used for the handle. It'll take me a little while. I'll work it round as I go and draw it out.
Ele ia fazer o pegador de aço 4140? Cara, tá pesado pra caralho.
I'm gonna go ahead and use some tongs. We've got some fairly large tongs to hold these with. Just have to be careful when I'm working with the Nazel. It's very powerful. Once I have this material drawn out to the point where I've actually created a handle that's easier for me to hold, I'm going to flip the billet around and draw in the opposite direction, hammering very hard down to create the spatula form. It takes me a couple of heats to get through this. Ilya, who usually does a lot of our forging, would probably have done this entire thing in just 2 or 3 heats. It takes me several, so I have to go back to the forge, back to the hammer. But I'll just keep working at it and get it right.
Ah, não, ele ia fazer a espátula inteira, porra. Sim. É que vai ficar muito pesado.
Spatula section is a little bit longer than I want. Sometimes I would just grind that off, but since I'm at the hammer, I'll use the hot cut, quench it, and knock it off. Now that I've got the forging cleaned up, I just went over and decked it and made sure my sides were true, cleaned up my surfaces. I pre-drilled the holes down in the center just so that I can get this larger cutter and I can get a little depth as I go in case this is hard from forging work. But I'll get these slots in and then you'll be able to see how this thing's going to look and you won't have to use your imagination.
Carinha dele, imagination. Max é muito maneiro. Casinha do Bob Esponja.
Even the tiniest of spatulas needs the tiniest level of detail. Bill's going to take these miniature files and work on our miniature spatula.
Que bonitinho.
7 hours later.
Not really all that different than a sword. We're going to be heat treating and hardening this chromoly spatula. If we were to leave it as it is, it's fairly soft, and if we were to pick up more than 2 or 3 Krabby Patties at a time, it might bend.
Só porque... Olha só, ele tá fazendo tratamento térmico no material. Deixa eu ver se eu acho aqui, pera. Aqui. Ali, como é que funciona? Quando ele tá fazendo tratamento térmico. Ele pega ali a espátula que seja aqui. Tá, a espátula. Aqui. Quando ele aquece, ele deixa os material, tipo... Vamos tá aqui, cada pedaço aqui tem uns pedacinhos que seja. Aqui. Ele deixa mais afastado. As moléculas, essas coisas assim. Pra o pessoal entender. Fica tudo afastadinho assim. E como ele dá, tipo, uma diferença muito brusca de temperatura e rápida, isso daqui fica muito apertado. Tipo, caralho, fica tudo junto assim. Quase que um em cima do outro. Muito apertado. Tipo um cozinho. Só que isso daqui é muito frágil. Por exemplo, é tipo... É muito resistente, só que é frágil. Tipo, a resistência da atração. Se você puxar essa porra aqui, caralho, vai ficar fudido. Só que se você bater, ele quebra. Então, ele é resistente e frágil. Aí o que você faz pra arrumar? Você faz tipo, o que ele tá fazendo, jogou na água pra ficar desse jeito. E depois você dá um recozimento, um revenimento. É um outro tipo de tratamento térmico que você usa pra aliviar a tensão. Aí ele vai ficar juntinho, só que vai ficar mais aliviado. Ele ainda vai ficar muito resistente pelo tratamento térmico de têmpera, que é o que você está jogando na água, só que não frágil o suficiente para ficar quebradiço. Então é isso que ele faz ali. Isso aí eu aprendi, tá? Aí ele deixa, como eu vou falar, resfriar no ar, na água, que seja. Tá vendo?
Okay, now for the final assembly of our SpongeBob triple spatula. We'll put the propeller on.
Working with some black Delron, John sands the handle. He's got a hole drilled down the center, and that's going to allow the spatula to be firmly mounted.
Esse aí que vai ser o punhal, né? O figurete.
Now that the golden spatula is finished, it's not golden, so we're going to be brassing it. John's going to take some heat from the torch and a solid brass wire wheel, lay the brass all over the surface, and that'll give us our finish.
Caralho, ficou foda.
So this was a really fun build. Some of us in the shop were excited to do it. I'm really not sure if you guys were trolling us or not, so we figured we'd show you every process and still make spatulas. Now that we've finished this up, we look forward to what your next off-the-wall challenge will be.
Patulinha. Porra, desperdiçando comida, filho da puta.